Hello, Drop Pod listeners. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Pods at The Drop Podcast. You can also find the podcast along with all of our content on YouTube at The Drop Golf Podcast. And you can follow along on our socials and see what we got cooking at The Drop_pod. And that's on Instagram and Twitter. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, follow and listen along.
This episode is presented by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too.
Already not that great.
Yep, that's a turnover for a layup to start the game. How you doing, folks? This is a Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Kulot.
What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. We have a special episode this week for you. It's going to be a lot less of Mike and I talking. We're going to send you pretty much right to our interview with Lewis Kelly. Lewis was the NJSGA 2022 State Open champion. He's an amazing guy. I mean, he's super down to earth. It was a unbelievable conversation that we had with him. It's even tough to say interview, right? Because it really was truly a conversation. I mean, we had questions for him, but it was very free flowing. And Mike, I really enjoyed it. And if you recall, he flips the interview. He starts interviewing us and asking us questions about stuff, and you guys get into your experience at the Open because I know that's what you qualified for, and you talk about the course conditions. It's really it was awesome. Really great conversation.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, when I had watched him go live at the State Open in the playoff of the Facebook Live that the NJSGA was putting out there, in that little 3-hole playoff with him and Jason Gore. I was like, this dude gets it. He's got to be a guy that we get on the show. He's clearly a good golfer for the numbers that he was putting up. But then just being able to sit down and talk to him, I think just how this whole, journey's been for us is everybody's welcomed us with open arms. They've been open and willing to come on the show to talk shop. And he's just another example that I feel like he's kind of like a long lost friend. Like, we haven't connected in a while, but when we do, it's like, hey, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while, and you just catch up.
Right.
And he's just another one of those guys that's easygoing, willing to talk, great guy. It's another, and I feel like it's so cliche of what we say about a must listen or must watch or those types of things, but I hate to say it, but it is.
So this is a great interview. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Again, we talk about a number of things. We go into some deeper topics, not just surface level stuff. So without further ado, here's that interview with Lewis Kelly. Enjoy.
Dr. Mike Pomacala at Sports Solutions Physical Therapy and Performance Development is located in Middletown, New Jersey. A Titleist Performance Institute medical practitioner, Dr. Mike uses a hands-on approach with his clients to get them out of pain and back onto the golf course. No pain, no problem. Assessments are available for golfers looking to improve flexibility, power, strength, stability, and overall efficiency with their golf swing. Don't let dysfunction disrupt your swing. Schedule an evaluation with a TPI physical therapist and check out Dr. Mike at sportssolutionspt.com and on Instagram at sportsolutionspt.
Fellas.
Hey, Lewis.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Great. How are you guys?
Doing great. All right, today's guest is none other than the 2022 New Jersey State Golf Association Open champion, Lewis Kelly. Little background here on Lewis. He's a two-time Gloucester County Golfer of the Year. He was 2010 NJSGA William Y. Deere Junior Champion. He also starred for 3 years at Adelphi University before finishing his career Division I at Louisiana Lafayette. He currently is the assistant professional at Burlington Country Club. Lewis, I appreciate you taking some time here to come on the show.
Ryan, Mike, thanks for having me, guys. You guys are awesome.
Appreciate you coming on, Lewis. Thank you.
So Lewis, like, kind of let's get started here from your background. We'll start in a sense from the bottom up. You know,
Sure.
like from where you were, and I always like to ask this to every guest that we've had on, because, you know, for Ryan and I, we kind of like to see where people were to where they are now. And I ask that because, you know, as someone who competes and follows you guys, I kind of look at you guys, to me, as like the PGA Tour. And when I see your names out there and you guys doing so many good things, it always sparks my interest in terms of, like, well, where did he come from and what did he have to go through? And you learn so many different stories about so many different people. But why don't you give us a little bit of background, you know, maybe through your junior days to your high school days to kind of where you're sitting now?
Sure. So I started golf when I was 10. Competitive golf. I remember like it was yesterday. It was only 3 people in the field. I shot, I think, 50 at Riverwinds, which is South Jersey. So that was my first win. I was like, oh man, this is nice. And I played basketball, soccer, baseball growing up until about high school. So, you know, when the guy missed the game winner and I passed it to him, like, man, I could have made that shot, you know, and Dad's like, yeah, let's try some golf. So, you know, that definitely got me hooked for sure, because it's all on you. And I definitely like that pressure. So, yeah, so I'm from South Jersey. And obviously this is a Jersey podcast, which I love. So started golf at 10. And then, you know, as I started getting more serious, my speed and height started to slow down. So my option of going pro in other sports started to diminish. So that's why I chose golf. I still think I got some speed and some vertical jumping height, but no, I just, you know, and then I got into high school and went to GCIT, and you know, we won the state title my freshman year at Beacon Hill. And then kind of got off to the races from there. Obviously wearing a First Tee hat, so First Tee is near and dear to my heart. You know, still a coach there, and went through the program there and had a lot of life-changing stuff happen through the First Tee. Played at Pebble Beach and stuff like that. So wasn't fortunate enough like my peers to play in a lot of, you know, exclusive junior events like AJGAs. You know, a lot of people know that AJGAs, and travel in the country. So really stayed local. You know, I think that's how I went to Adelphi, just because, you know, I was local, played in a lot of Philly stuff. South Jersey doesn't have a lot of golf like North Jersey guys do, net section, all that stuff. So I played in Philly junior PGA Tour stuff. And then obviously got, you know, I feel like I got really good at Adelphi and was able to transfer, and then, you know, had a really good last year at Louisiana, and then kind of went off from there. So that's kind of a little bit of the story.
Do you feel like you didn't hit your peak yet? So going somewhere like Adelphi and then still growing as a golfer to then end up having to transfer, wanting to transfer, you hadn't hit that plateau yet?
Yeah, I think, you know, like I said, you know, not playing some of the AJGA stuff like the people who are on the PGA Tour right now. I mean, I got a lot of people that I've competed against on the Korn Ferry and PGA Tour. So during that junior stint, not playing in a lot of high worthy junior golf, let's say. So, you know, wasn't recruited by the Georgias or the you know, the let's see, another team, Vanderbilts or what have you. I think going local and obviously winning the junior, I'm sure we'll talk about, was big for me. That was obviously a big moment, because, you know, New Jersey's a big state and definitely well respected in the golf community for sure. So when you win a big tournament like that, you know, you still get some looks, which is great. So went to Adelphi, and my thing was, man, if I ball out here, you know, no happen, you know, there's no chance of, you don't know where you could go. So I took that very seriously, and I love Adelphi. If you ever been to Garden City in Long Island, it's special, and I've had a lot of great moments there. And you know, like I said, an opportunity came up after I made the national championship as an individual. So, I took it and ran with it.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. So go ahead, Rod. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that seeing that growth and that development, like you said, that late bloomer is always kind of like you got a little bit of that dog in you. Like, yeah, if I like, I'll go here, I'll ball out, and then sky's the limit. I like that.
Yeah.
So Louis, before I get into like kind of where you are now, let's dial back a little bit to 2010 when you did win that William Y. Deere tournament. Now, I know growing up as a kid, I was very competitive and tried to dabble in things, and unlike you, I never was truly successful. But I think the competitive thing always got me going.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, the summer going into your senior year.
Yeah.
And you didn't play many New Jersey State Golf Associations. It was a lot of gap stuff, correct?
Yeah. Zero.
That was the first one.
That was the first one. Yeah.
Right. And I guess when I read the article and I kind of like try to do my research about it, a lot of things, and I felt like the thing that I kept reading a lot about was like, he's shows very little emotion, but like the intensity you can see is always there. Why don't you talk a little bit about your experience winning that event?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I feel like the state's cut in half. I don't know if that's fortunately or unfortunately, but it's just kind of how it is. Not a lot of South Jersey, at that time, I think in 2010, or I wasn't privy to it. A lot of South Jersey guys played North Jersey stuff. And I feel like, the NJSGA is in North Jersey. All the opens are in North Jersey. I don't think they've ever had a state open in South Jersey, like below Trent. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not sure. So
I'll do some research on that.
Yeah, so it's all North Jersey stuff. So my childhood coach, who's legendary in the golf world, his name is Dick Smith, past president of PGA. He gave John Daly his PGA trophy, and he gave Dave Stockton the Ward to Shore trophy. So I learned golf through him from age 11 till I still think he's my coach till now. So having that legendary coach, helped me in the golf space. Like, hey, you should play here, you should play there. So I got a gin handicap. I'm not a country club kid, so I played out of Valley Brook where he taught. And there was no qualifier. So then I've never played a qualifier. So we just signed up, which was great. Rockaway River, and we were like, okay, this is match play, and we were kind of like learning the tournament as we drove up. And, like, hey, like, what's this tournament? It's not a normal junior event. You might stay there, you might go home, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so my dad still had to keep buying hotel room, right? Because you continue to make it up the ladder.
Yeah.
So, so our big thing is we're not going home yet. And we still have that to this day, like, hey, we're still not going home. We're staying up North Jersey, which is Rockaway River. I mean, basically from Philly to past New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in the top left-hand part of the state.
Yeah. So that's 2.5 hours. So for me at 17, that's, a light years away.
Right.
And in travel, our limit was probably like an hour for my dad traveling the golf tournaments. So that was like going to another country. It was like, oh my gosh, so I can't believe we're still in New Jersey. So yeah, we still talk about that stuff to that day, because I feel like there was moments in my life where I felt like I could be a professional golfer. I felt like I could play at the top level, and still do. I still think I can make it to the PGA Tour, but that moment winning that was like, man, I think I'm really good at this. Like, I think I can do something, right? Because you're seeing the people that you're beating, talking to them, where they're going to school, what their aspirations are, who's their coach, how they train, and all that stuff. And I had zero of that. And I'm like, I beat that guy, and he's doing this and doing that. So that was really huge. And it got me into the Western Junior, which at that time was the farthest away. And then I got into the Carter Cup, which was, a Met golf event, which is like the PGA Tour, right? That was bigger than AJGA. Had to wear a suit. So that was like crazy. And then played Baltusrol upper and lower. I mean, I shot, probably 200 for 36 holes, but it was like, that opened so many doors to like the golf world, because my golf world was just South Jersey and Philly, right? So didn't know anything. So, that was a huge win, in my life, even though I won the state open. But for me, that kind of propelled me to some bigger stuff and kind of opened my eyes from, just being in the backyard, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, that experience itself has to be, you feel like a little kid in a big environment, and then when you go and
Sure.
win it, it's like, wow, I truly thought I could do it, but then when you actually put, it into action and get it done, it's truly remarkable.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into this year's state open. Um, and I say that because, and I feel like I'm on repeat ride when I say this, and I feel like it's kind of like every episode we have, I say like, oh, I participated in the state open this year at the Ridge. Like, I started dabbling in competitive golf. Like after COVID, I started going. I played Division III college golf. Like, but then
Okay.
I had a family and some kids, and
Yeah.
just like anything, it goes on hold. And
Right.
COVID hit, and I got way back into it. Like, now the grind is real. Like, started dabbling and playing, and I never was so nervous at a qualifier in my life at Burlington Country Club in
Yeah.
2020 for the state amateur. And I was
Yeah.
like, so I'm on the range and I'm shanking shots, handshaking
So you were hitting them on the first hole.
right to the first hole.
A
Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like,
lot of people are doing that.
yeah, I'm like, and I got to go to the first tee in a couple minutes.
Right.
But I left there saying like, I had fun doing this. So just like anything, you continue to grind. But I was fortunate to qualify for the New Jersey State Open this year at the Ridge. And I say this all the time. Watching you guys just hit balls, I was like a fan. But I can't lie. The one thing that really stood out more so than anything, and besides we'll get into your play, especially that final round, which is incredible, and then battling Jason Gore nonetheless down the stretch, was when, and again, I'm a golf nerd. I'm a golf fiend. I look at you guys as like PGA Tour guys, as like famous dudes, when you guys probably think you're just average golfers, whatever the case is. But
he just gushes. Lewis,
I do.
Like when we talk,
it's
like, oh my god, I got to meet like LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Like he's the same.
Listen,
it's the same thing.
I kid you not, because when the NJSGA went live on their Facebook, and for the 3 holes that they are following it, I am that kid who feels like I'm 15 again, even though I'm 39 with 2 kids. I'm that 15-year-old watching it, and the way that you would interact in that 3-hole playoff with them while it's ongoing really stood out to me. And I said, like, I feel like that dude, I don't know who he is. I've never seen him. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. But like, I felt like that dude gets it. He's down to earth. He understands the importance of focusing on a shot when he's about to hit it. But the minute that he steps away from the shot, like, he's able to be himself. He's able to be personable. And I can't lie. I ultimately thought that truly helped you.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, I felt like Jason Gore went straight PGA Tour, like head down, like laser focused. I got it. But I also think there's some negative sometimes that you can't just like take a deep breath, live in the moment, enjoy the moment, and still produce. And I felt like that was one specific moment for me that really stood out. But do you remember interacting like that with them when they were doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Just to flip the podcast real quick, let me talk to you about the conditions, like how you felt, and then I'll answer your question. But what do you think of the setup and all that? Because I'm going to talk about all that. What do you think of the setup? What do you think of the course? Because to me, I thought it was PGA Tour level as far as conditions, firm and fast, right? Obviously long, which I know you guys don't know my game, but that fits me perfect. Right. So like, let me just hear your thoughts, and then obviously I'll answer.
Right, I love this. I love this.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in
this was
heaven
incredible.
right now. Like, we're talking golf. I'll be on here for 3 hours right now just answering that question.
If you're going to start interviewing us, we're going to need 7 or 8 Zoom calls.
I have too much respect for you guys. I'm not going to take it over for sure.
Well, I'll be honest. I've never played in one. I've tried to qualify for one. I've always tried to qualify. And I got lucky and got in. And then my goal the goal was to get in, just get in one.
Right.
And then you get in it and you get to see the place. I knew for someone like me, I don't hit it particularly long. I think I'm lucky if I can get it out there like 280. And I feel like my goal once I got in was like, let's just be presentable. Let's be respectable. Let's not go shoot 85, 85. And the first day I shot 78 with a double and a triple. And I was like, wow, okay, I actually got it around decently.
Yeah.
I thought the greens were pure as they could be.
Oh,
I felt like if you got it on the right line, the ball went in the hole. And
In the
there's
hole.
not many times at places you can truly say that.
100%.
And then the second round, I was like, okay, let's just avoid big numbers. Let's see if we can avoid some big numbers. And I didn't make any mistakes in terms of like doubles or triples. I shot 74 and was really happy.
Sure.
But the one thing, again, I would say is like, you would think that the course would have been beat up. There would have been divots in the fairway. There would have been like maybe even sand spots covering.
Sure.
But I left there and it was as pure of a golf course as if nobody played it the day before, ever. Even so much as the driving range.
Yeah. Now,
Pure.
so if I can stop you, and I want to challenge the NSGA real quick. Not any controversy stuff, but my first Open was Hackensack 2013.
That's where they're going this year.
Yeah, and I made an eagle on the first hole, and that was kind of my first introduction to professional golf, right? I don't know obviously we know politics are and everything, and I'm not a political guy, but I really want to push the NSGA to beat out the Met Golf Association in our home state. And I say that to say, because I'm going to echo what you said, that, and I know people may think I'm biased because I won there, but I feel like since I've been playing state opens, that was the best state open setup I've ever seen. And not to put down other golf courses and their conditions, right? Because we all know we're golfers. One bad year of rain for a week can destroy a golf course, right? And you have no control over that, right? We're not God. So I think that was the perfect weather, but I feel like the NSGA needs to challenge a little bit for some top level better courses, right? Because I feel like New Jersey is one of the premier states in the country.
No
right?
doubt.
And I feel like we're getting beat out on some really great stuff, right? And like, I don't know how, for instance, Somerset Hills, if you guys played there, right? Top 100 in the country, right? But in our own state. So, and like I said, I know there's politics, there's golf boards, we don't want to have that, but can we try to have some of the best courses in the state as our state open? Like, that's our major championship. That's our US Open, right? So anyway, so I just want to echo that it was the best conditioned golf course since I've been playing in state opens that it was. I felt like I was playing a PGA Tour event, how pure the greens were. If you hit it on the right line, it was going in.
That was the one thing that I felt more so than anything, that I'm not as good as I was playing with Dean Greiserman, who's going Division I to Stanford, who straight up mashes the golf ball.
Yeah, I mean, that family is legit.
I felt like, again, like I am now, I felt like I was a fan on the golf course, annoying this kid, asking him a million golf questions.
Yeah.
And then the third guy in our group was Aaron Aceto, who's the director of instruction at Knickerbocker. Like, just two dudes.
Great guy, by the way.
Great guy. Two dudes I'm just asking questions to, and then they're asking me like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm just like, "I'm just a teacher." They're like, "Oh, when you play golf?" I'm like, "Well, maybe like once or twice a week." "Well, when do you practice?" "Well, 15 minutes before I play." Like that, and they're laughing at me because they live and breathe it. And I wish I could. I just don't have that luxury. But I can't agree more with that. The greens are something that Ryan and I have talked about so much on this podcast. When you're talking about like golf courses specifically, I can live with a lot of things, but as long as the greens are rolling,
100%,
it makes up for so many other flaws that the course may have. And that place didn't have any, and the greens were spectacular.
All right, so let's go back to interaction on Facebook.
Okay, good. I can jump in now. Lewis, actually, before you answer his question, how many strokes do you think you beat Mike by in that state open?
I didn't make the cut.
I looked it up this morning.
I actually did a little research on Mike, right? Because and I did see that you played in there, which I didn't know. And I don't want to sound like, cocky or anything. So I did have to scroll down to find your name. I want to say it was like 81, 83, something like that, or 78, 83, something like that.
78, 74.
74. Okay. I don't know how many strokes that was. I know if we were playing the last 36 holes, I would have got you by a lot. But
Yeah. Well,
I gave everybody a head start in the first round, so I don't know how many strokes. Right?
what'd you shoot in the first round?
I think one over.
Was it par 72 or par 71?
I want to say it's par 71.
Okay, so I was 7 over the first day.
Yeah.
So you're up 6. What'd you shoot on
Yeah.
the second day?
I think course record 65.
Yeah, well, you beat me by 9 there, and I actually played probably the best golf I can play. I shot 74, and under those conditions, I was beyond. I was beyond. I left there saying like, okay, I beat everybody in my group. I beat Dean that day, and I beat Aaron. And I left there feeling like $1,000,000.
That is a respectable score.
Yeah, not bad for a gym teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if my math is correct, that's 15 you beat him by. I just want to beat him by 15.
With a bad first round he had.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
so go into your round a little bit. Let's go into this.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the Facebook thing. So I feel like I think when I turned pro right out of school, I would say that I struggle with my golf identity, and what I mean by that is obviously growing up my age, we idolized Tiger, right? Like everybody my age, if you're a couple years older, a couple years younger, it was Tiger. So when you're watching Tiger, he is like almost like Jason Gore, right? Like, and you spoke about it before. Don't talk, don't wave, don't do anything. So when you're watching a GOAT like Michael Jordan or anything like that, you're like, oh, this is how it needs to be. Like, this is it. This is the standard. So if you're talking like Lee Trevino, you're not going to be as good, even though Lee Trevino is a Hall of Famer, right? So like you see the comparison. So if you want to be like Tiger, if you want to make millions of dollars and shoot 59 every day, you need to talk to nobody. So for a few years, that's kind of how I was, right? And I want to play professional golf and I want to do all these things. So when you're off the golf course, be yourself. When you're on the golf course, struggle, basically, right? So I'm like, all right, we gotta do something about this. And I got married basically 3 weeks before that, and obviously I've known my wife for 4 years. So she's kind of helped me, like, hey, you're not yourself when you're on the golf course, right? Like if we were out, I'm talking, have a good time, hugging, high five, and all that type of stuff. Like, why don't you bring that personality and stop trying to struggle and fight yourself on the thing that you love to do and want to be successful at? So I feel like, and my game was trending that whole year, and obviously it peaked then, but I kind of brought that in, like, okay, this is wouldn't say the biggest moment for me, but this is a big moment, and I want to play well, and I'm playing well. So let's not do this while we're playing well, right? So I didn't know that they were going to do that Facebook thing. And obviously, everybody's going social media, and that's the big thing, right? So I was like, man, this is the perfect time to like be myself, right? Because like, let's just say if you're the Tiger Woods and you taking that attitude, Mike, if we're playing in a tournament and you're not talking and I have a caddy, I'm just going to talk to my caddy, maybe out loud on the tee box, or down the fairway. So I got to figure out a way to be myself, not the Lee Trevino, like way over here, and not the Tiger Woods way over here, right? I'm Lewis Kelly somewhere in the middle and my own self. So I felt like it was great. And I feel like obviously New Jersey golf is trying to they're trying to compete with the Met, which is such a juggernaut, right, in the golf world. And I wouldn't say it was my duty to do that, but I just felt like that would be great, right? And I don't know how many followers they had. I don't know, if my mom was on there, you know what I mean? If she was just on there, it'd be great to just have her talk to me through the screen, right? Like, oh, good shot, or nice. I love how you said that. And I feel like I got a lot of feedback, like what you guys said through the Facebook, like, man, we were watching. And I feel like that was the only state open which was live. Because you're just
first one. It's the first one that I remember, and I can't lie. I'm that dork that will, when I see it pop up, I'm like, oh, I'm clicking it, and
right.
whatever I'm doing, I just watch.
Right. So I think that was the first time they did that. And, you know, they thanked me for that because I'm sure it would have been boring, you know, and the girls are great. But, you know, if you have interaction from the players, like how you're thinking, that's fantastic. Right. And that's why the PJ Tour guys are getting mic'd up and all that type of stuff. So I definitely felt it was great. And I knew, you know, obviously where I was and if I could help, it would be great. And if I was watching, I'd be like, man, like, can you talk to those guys? You know what I mean? Because they're probably pooping their pants trying to make a 4-footer, you know?
Yeah.
I think it was and it was myself, right? And I wasn't doing this.
I think that
Yeah.
so many times on the golf course, you need that. You need to just be who you are, and finding that, like you said, you emulated Tiger, and that doesn't work for everybody. That works
Right.
for so few people, and
Right.
and again, like there's no one way to do something. As you said, like Lee Trevino, like yucking it up with the players and the crowd and doing all that kind of stuff. Like there's no what's the phrase? There's no two ways to skin a cat or something like that. Like you could do it,
Yeah.
you know, however you want to, and just when you can be yourself, it just takes that, even if it's that a little bit more pressure off of you because you can be yourself, then you can
Right.
play a little freer, you can swing a little freer, you can, you know, your mind is clearer. All those things like add up to just playing better golf.
Yeah, and I try to teach that to my kids, you know, who I coach right now. It's like you have to practice the way you play, right? And if I'm playing with you guys, you know, I'm going to be talking, right? You don't want to invite me to a, you know, casual round of golf and I just go silent the whole 18, not talk to you, like maybe say good shot here or there. You'd be like, dude, I'm not inviting this kid back. Like he was
Mhm.
awful to play with.
Yeah.
Practice like you play. And if I'm practicing with you guys and working on my game, I'm going to be talking to you, right? I'm going to tell you like, man, that shot stunk or what have you, or here's what I'm trying to hit, or how's the family, how's the kids type of thing. So like, why not bring that in the heat of the moment?
Yeah. There's a funny story about Tiger. I don't know if you've ever heard it, where he would play pro-ams and
Yeah.
these guys would play, you know, they'd pay, you know, to play in the program is like $3,000 or whatever. Then they get grouped up with Tiger, and you're like, yeah, let's go. And Tiger would be hitting shot, like he'd be putting to different, like he'd put a tee in the
Yeah.
green and putt it like far away from them. It's like, okay, well, I wanted to play this round with Tiger Woods, and I'm just like walking in the same vicinity. Like it's not like we're talking or anything like that. So
Right.
to your point, like golf's a social game. It's supposed to be a social environment,
Yeah.
and
And I
again,
think, you know, we know the history of Tiger now, you know, after he's had kids and hurt and all that stuff. And I think he's had a different perspective.
for
And
sure, no doubt there.
I think if you ask him, we don't know the answer, right? But maybe if he would adopt that a little earlier, he might have had more success. We don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we love Tiger for not speaking because he was so dominant. And us as human beings, we love dominance, right? We love dunking people and on the net and all that type of stuff. So we're definitely addicted to that. But I think for him, you know, maybe if you ask him now, since he has a 360 of his life, he would say, man, if I, you know, would have been like myself, if I would have been right now, I think I would have been better.
I would love to ask Tiger a number of things, but one of the things would be like if he trade in some of that dominance for what he's got now. Like he seems happy on the golf course. He seems like he's having a good time and yucking
Yeah.
it up and even taking away the Charlie stuff. Like he just seems like he's enjoying his time out there. And like I don't know if he would trade majors for it, but like instead of having what's he have 82 wins, would you rather
Yeah.
have 75 wins and have had more fun? You know, like I wonder what his answer would be to that, or is it just like no, I enjoyed being dominant.
I think to
No.
some extent he would trade some regular season wins for a better personal life. I
Mm-hmm.
do. I think we all that have had more stability. I think when you look back at it, but like all of us, you're young, you're immature, you don't know, you're in situations you've never been in. Unfortunately, we all make stupid decisions, and you know, I think now at where Tiger's at, he's able to step back and say like, you know,
And when you get older, obviously I'm not there yet, but I'm realizing now like stuff doesn't matter. Like when you're on your deathbed, you're not thinking about a 7-iron. You're thinking about, can I live one more day?
yeah,
Right.
Yep.
And once you like hit that, and everybody in life hits that, I believe that. Once you realize like nothing matters and your health matters and your family matters, then stuff starts to radically change. And I think, when you're young, you're invincible. You feel like, man, I'm never going to get old. Nothing's ever going to hurt. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, bang. You're like,
Yeah, I'm learning that now.
Yeah.
I'm 39, sniffing 40, and all of a sudden I still feel like and act like I'm 17, and I'm like,
yeah.
man, I need a back heater. I need something on my back. I need the Ben Gay rubbed on me.
Yeah.
And Lewis, how old are you?
I am 29, about to be 30, February 6th. So
Happy birthday.
I'm starting to that real quick.
Right? It's a 10-year gap, and he's telling you how to live, Mike.
I know. Listen, and unfortunately, I need to probably start taking his advice.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm sitting here saying like, man, can someone rub my back as I sit here and talk to him? But before I want to dive again more into your round because, so obviously going 65, 66 the last two rounds, that's golfing. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. That's golf. And there had to be something that clicked for you going from, coming into the week, even after your first round. I don't know if it was you feeling a little more comfortable, but was there something that you found on the range beforehand or coming into the day two that allowed you to go that low? Because I mean, that's no joke in terms of the numbers.
So yeah, you talk about the first round. Like I did some stuff in the winter to really change my game. Did some fitness stuff. Was trained in some newly age fitness stuff, which I can get into later. And then saw a putting coach, David Orr. Took one of my members actually in the spring, David Orr. So when I got to the first round, I was hitting it great, and I putted really lousy. And I got this new putter that week from my club company, because I switched club companies this year, which I think is the key to my success, which you could talk about too. But so I switched putters that day. I actually had a morning tea time, so I went to go get Chipotle, came back, and putted for 2 hours because I putted absolutely horrendous. I made a lot of birdies, but coming down the stretch, I think I bogeyed 4 out of my last 5 holes. And a different member took me out for a practice, and I'm like, I absolutely love this course. Like, if you drew up a course for Lewis Kelly, the Ridge was it. Like, legitimately. Length, speed as far as firmness and all that type of stuff. I'm like, I should be winning this by 20, right? And I just shot 1 over par. So did that, and I didn't hit any balls after because I was like, I'm happy with what I'm doing there. Just didn't putt well. So just spent, an hour and a half, 2 hours and decided on the new putter. And, the rest is history, as they say. But, I felt like that's how well I was playing all week, right? I just didn't putt well. So
we haven't gotten into it yet, but obviously winning the Open and being the first African-American ever to do that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your junior years being like not being a country club kid growing up, not playing in the NJSGA stuff. Do you feel like you had do you feel like doors were closed because you were black that you had to get through, or was it other things? Like how much of it was that? Was it being a black guy that you just like in a game that is predominantly white? Talk a little bit about that.
I think that's a great question. If I can go on the length that, I would really appreciate it.
For sure.
Pioneers, and you can guys go through history on who's, the first this and the first that, especially on the PGA Tour. And there's been a groundwork laid out for me that people have paved the way, right? So I don't want to be naive and say it's not all, race, because I think little bit of it is, but we're not in the 1960s. So what my version of my life is nowhere near, Martin Luther King days and all that stuff. So I don't think it's that. I think it's the elitist aspect, right? The money, right? Like I could play basketball in my bare feet and probably get an NBA deal, right? If the right car drives past at the moment that I'm jumping 13 feet in the air, right? And especially social media now, but even if I was, balling in 2010, I'm going to get an NBA deal, right? You've never seen anybody jump 13 feet and in barefoot. So that has nothing to do with race, color, money, nothing. I mean, you can have holes in your pockets and all that type of stuff. But in golf, it's different, right? Entry fees, hotels, right? And we talk about 2010, the Jersey, the junior championship. It's like, man, okay, we got to spend another hotel. We're 3 hours away from home in our own state, right? In a hotel, and I got two younger brothers, so a family of five. So every penny matters. And I'm not saying that that separates, right? But that's a big deal in a sport that clubs cost anywhere from 1,000 to it's like 2,500 a set now, right? So like balls, right? You got to play with balls. So I think that kind of separates the good players from the great players, right? Like, I'm looking for sponsorships right now, because I feel like, the guy who I beat in the State Open played in the PGA Tour event the week before, and not a lot of people know that. And Jason, we've definitely exchanged texts and phone calls now, so now he's a good friend. But, I was competing against a guy who, Southern California guy, millions of dollars on tour, right? Now he's worked for the USGA's PGA now, but he has the experience that you can't pay for, right? Like I could be the best golfer in the world in my apartment, in an indoor facility, but if I can't pay for a greens fee, no one's going to know about me. And I could be the best, like ever, to ever live. So that's different than any other sport. So I think those are the challenges there, especially when you start to get into professional golf. I feel like I could play on the PGA Tour right now, but because I have no money, I'm working at Burlington, and not saying that I don't love there because the membership is great, but I want to play at the highest level, and I feel like I have the game to do. And the only thing that's holding me back is financials. So that's really tough, especially, when you have a week like the State Open, when I've had multiple weeks before. I missed the Travelers this year by one stroke. So it's like, man, is that me? Is that my game? Or is that the experience that if I played full time, I can make that up? Right. So that's always difficult.
So with that, like obviously, and don't take this the wrong way, but like when you talk about like climbing the ladder, why not? And again, I get it that you're right there, and mentally you feel like you are there. Like why not just climb the ladder within the state? Or does the operational side of running a golf course full time or a director of instruction full time, does that not interest you because the playing is so much more important?
Yeah, like since I was 10 and I won that first junior tour event by 3 strokes, and I shot 50, right? It's like I want to do this. Like and I don't know if you guys see my social media, like I love First Tee. I love growing the game. I love making my members, the happiest people on the earth, especially with their games. Like I'm addicted to helping everyone. And that's kind of my personality, getting to know people. So I love that. But when I lay my head down at night, I'm not thinking about the next car. I'm not thinking about the big house. Like I want to be dominant on the PGA Tour. And I feel like I can do that right now. It's just getting in, right? It's just about, putting in the work.
Right.
Right. And I feel like everybody wants to do the race thing. And some of it is, don't get me wrong. And I definitely don't want to be naive in that, because we do play, golf, and that's definitely an elitist sport, but it's resources flat out. I could be purple, but if I have millions of dollars in the bank and I can afford, the country club, and I put in the work, I'm going to get there. There's no way about it. But if I can't go to the country club and I can only hit 5 balls outside, or, can't get to a putting green, I'm not going to make it. It's just flat out.
And I guess that's kind of crazy that someone, and we all know that there's money everywhere and people have stupid amount of money, and it's crazy that I guess even to some extent that someone on your level who's dabbled on the professional scene, who's been really close to getting in, and then you go to do what you did this past summer. I guess I'm stunned that there wasn't a guy, a lady, a company that said, hey, listen, we got X amount of money. Let's take a flyer on a kid, this kid, and let's just give him 3 years and say, hey, listen, you got 3 years. You don't get it done, you're done. But I guess I'm surprised that someone at your level can't get that, regardless of race.
And maybe, I'm not a in your face type of
I know
guy.
you're not a promoter. You're not.
If Mike, let's say if you were one of my members and I knew you owned X amount of companies, like I'm not going to come into you and shake your pockets like, Mike, I know, you got 2 Bentleys in the garage. Like, you got to give me some, I'm not that type of guy just because of my personality and how I've been taught. So, I'm just praying about it. My faith is big. And obviously, this was God's will for me to win this thing. Right. We may and may not get into it, but if I don't beat Jason Gore, who just played in the PJ tournament in a playoff, I don't think we may be talking, but it doesn't hold the magnitude of the event. So I think stars are aligning that way. And that's kind of what I believe. And I think, big things might happen soon, hopefully, but this is in the right direction. And I can only, I can send you text messages when we get off, kind of my setup in my apartment, hitting my first tee foam balls into my window with a yoga mat on, a space just enough to swing. So that's my indoor facility. So,
well, not for nothing. I hope when we get this out there that someone hears you, hears your story and says, like, listen, like, this dude's a quality person. He's clearly very good at the game of golf. I got a lot of money. I'm going to take a flyer on him because, I think results speak for themselves. And I get it. Like, I've seen other social medias of different professionals, and some people are way more out there and their following is way bigger and X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And there's no doubt that yours is different in that respect.
Yeah.
You clearly are like have the persona to do it. Like you can have a conversation, interacting with the kids. You can certainly do it. I'm like you. I'm also not good at that self-promotion. I don't like being necessarily on camera, and yet we start a podcast. Yeah. But like, but yeah, I hear you on that. Like it's tough to have both. And if it's not you, it's not you.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But then don't you think like, all right, well, clearly that, in a sense, and for someone like me, never met you,
it's not because you can't, though, Lewis. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
that's what I want to say.
And I think that's where,
you're not.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. So it's not like I never knew you. I didn't know who you were. I saw you're playing good golf, but like a guy like me doesn't get to know you if you don't self-promote to some extent. And I guess I would say you're not that way, but don't you feel like you have to go that way a little bit to be vulnerable in that extent? Like, hey, listen, here's who I am.
Yeah, I think in today's age, I think I do. And obviously I'll take all the advice I can.
I don't have much advice. I'm just saying, like, I'm like, Ryan and I were the same way. Like, I'm on social media, but I never did it. Now all of a sudden I said, Ryan, well, if I'm going all in, shit, I'm just going to start putting myself out there. Even when I miss the putts or if I hit a good shot, like, I'm going to do it. I've never done it in the past, but I feel like that's part of the gig. That's part of the job. And not to say that you should do that, but I do think like that could assist you to say, hey, listen, this dude's a good dude. Like, let's take a flyer on him.
And I think me growing up, especially, we'll just talk about the golf world for a minute. It's like, because of who I am and who I look like, I've always just had to, I guess, fly under the radar, so to speak, if I go to, different clubs or in different junior events. So I think that's kind of built into kind of my life, so to speak, right? Like I'm just not out there if you don't talk to me, right? But once you talk to me, I'll have a conversation and show you my character, so to speak, right? But I'm not, waving a flag or have a banner as soon as I walk up to the country club. So I definitely think as I get older, we talked about life before, like I'm about to hit 30, right? Like time is dwindling. So now I'm going to say, and I think money is also a tough conversation to have. But now it's like I said, because I'm getting older, I'm going to say, hey, Ryan, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I've done. I think I can do this. Ryan, can you help me?
Yeah.
Right. And I think just changing and getting outside my comfort zone. And it may affect our relationship, and may not. Like, Ryan, if you're my member, right, I might have to cross that line. Right. Not crazy, right? Still be respectful, stuff like that. Like, Ryan, you're my member. Can you help me? Here's my business plan and all that type of stuff. So
right. I'm right. You're looking for investors, and the business is you, not
right.
something that you know, it's so it's a little different.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, I think. And Ryan can tell you, like, I am like either all in or I'm all out. And when I go all in, like, we're fucking doing this, buddy. Like, I'm going in. If it's just like I'm doing it. So like, I posted things on Instagram of me missing putts, and I can't tell you how many people DM me like, dude, you suck. How do you miss that putt? And I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't know. Do you want to just the good ones? I'm gonna be authentic and real. Like,
well, yeah, and most people don't have that, right? You only see the good shots. But hopefully, I'm not embarking on the future you guys have. But I would love for you guys to like come to State Opens, right? If you're going to be the Jersey podcast, you guys should like think about these tournaments and these little.
Stop stealing our ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, but listen, enough about us, because Ryan and I will sit here and talk forever. But like, let's talk, because I know that there's young kids and junior golfers that follow us, that listen to us because of the DMs that we get sent and whatnot. And kids will ask us questions like, what about this guy, or things like that? How was that person? Like, if you were to give a very good or inexperienced junior golfer, boy or girl, trying to get better, what are some things you tell maybe even the kids at your first tee to, like, how do you lower your scores to make yourself become a better golfer?
I definitely think instruction is important. I was definitely fortunate and lucky enough to have, one of the best coaches in the world in Dick Smith. And he definitely set the groundwork for me, to become the ball striker I am today. So I definitely think instruction is important. But, kids, unlike myself, when I was growing up, they have it all at their fingertips. Like, the GOATs are leaving the breadcrumbs for free. Like Tiger Woods, like, if you listen to his Hall of Fame speech and like all these interviews, like, if you go through them and do the research, like, they're all there. And there's a lot of bad information out there. So it's tough for a kid to decipher. But if you have a coach, hopefully at your local muni or your country club, that could help you like springboard, that growth and success, do that. But the GOATs are leaving the breadcrumbs for free. So watch as much golf as you can, and then do the work, right? If you have enough space in your backyard or on your driveway to swing, do that for sure. And then obviously just look at swings, right? Look, everybody's got YouTube, everybody's got TV. Just Google Tiger Woods rain session. Like, I feel like many different people learn differently, being a coach. But I feel like everybody, if you watch it for 1,000 hours and you just watch it Tiger Woods aimlessly, you're going to pick up certain stuff. Like, man, you might not understand it all, but you might pick it up. So I definitely would suggest that to juniors. Pick your favorite guy. Obviously it's going to be one of the top guys. You're not going to pick the last guy that got into the FedEx Cup. You're not YouTubing him, right? You're YouTubing the stars. So find a guy that you like or girl you like, and then just watch them and watch what they do, and everything's at your fingertips now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that you have the resources nowadays. All the kids do.
Yeah.
Even to your point, everybody's got cameras on them. If Keegan Bradley's your favorite golfer, there's so many, there's so much out there. Like, you can certainly find whatever you're looking for. The internet is a vast place. You can find whatever out there.
For sure. Especially right now, because when I was growing up, it was just like you only had this one segment, right, of Tiger for like 3 hours, and then it was done. You couldn't find anything. Yeah. The only thing you had was a book, right? So you either had the TV, the legitimately TV, or a book. That was it.
Now, obviously, for like some of the questions I like to ask is being a golfer in the Garden State, like you had mentioned, it's crazy how big the state is that you could go 2.5 hours north and still be in New Jersey. I live down in, so I know exactly what you're saying in terms of driving Jersey. It's like, holy hell, I need to make a whole day of it just to get there.
100%.
But I do know that the golf courses in that area won't be neglected from us in that respect, just because of the distance. But like, if you were to have a favorite, both a public and a private, that you would say to someone like, hey, listen, if you got the opportunity to go play this private course, you got to drop what you're doing and you got to go. But then on the flip side, what about like a public course that the average Joe, like Ryan and I aren't members anywhere, we just want to go tee it
Yeah.
up. If we're not invited to go play, it's like, I'll pay the
Yeah.
greens fees. It's respectable. Course in good shape.
Yeah.
Do you got two in mind?
Yeah, my favorite is Pennsauken.
Never
I
played.
think it's called Country. I think it's called Pennsauken Country Club, but it's a county course.
Okay.
My favorite hole there, and you can see it on the street, is 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a par 3, and there's a tree like to the right front of it. It's so beautiful. You gotta play. It's like unbelievable. And I grew up, around there. I was born in Willingboro and obviously moved to Deptford or Sewell later, but that's the best. And we used to have drive, chip, and putt qualifiers there.
Gotta add it to our list, right?
Pennsauken. I just Googled it and I'm looking at it. It looks beautiful.
It's public?
Yeah.
It's public.
It is. It is Pennsauken Country Club.
Yeah, it's a county course. So I don't know the country club, because there's no range. There's no range, and there's a green. So you talk about public as public can get, right? No range, just the green. Like,
let's go.
That's how I grew up, right? I didn't, wasn't monies to hit balls. So I played a lot of junior events, only getting, $10 and just, kind of saving that and just kind of air swinging and then putting and then going out.
All right, well, I guess that's one added to the list, Rye.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about a private place? I mean, I don't know in a sense if there's one that stands out more so than others to you, but I do want to preface this question. If you've played Pine Valley, I'm not letting you count that.
So a lot of people don't know this. Pine Valley was my first job.
Oh wow!
So
I didn't know. I didn't find that.
No.
So I was a busboy. So my first ever
I'm thinking golf career.
No. So my mom came in. She said, "Hey, my girlfriend works at this golf course. I'm gonna call the guy and see if you can get a job or call her son, because I think her son working there. And it's at Pine Hill." I'm like, "Mom, I don't want to work at Pine Hill." Like, and now it's Trump Philly.
Right.
I don't want to work at Pine Hill. So like, she made me wear a suit and it was for the busboy job. And so I called the guy who's obviously a good friend now. And I'm like, "Mom, you didn't tell me it was Pine Valley." Right. So I worked there for 4 years, and obviously I played it a million times. It's not my favorite. So obviously it's good. So I don't want to,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. If I get invited, I'll go be the busboy for a week.
I played it a million times.
I'll go be the busboy.
Yeah.
Well,
what's the favorite? What's the favorite?
If they're hiring right now. I don't know if they're hiring right now, but I'll send you a video from Pine Valley, and maybe you can use this. So a caddy told me, and I don't know if you guys know the course.
Pictures.
So I'm like one of 5 guys to hit the 2 par 5s and 2 in the same day.
Okay.
So if you ask some of the guys who have played it, they're gonna be like, "What?" So that's not my favorite. It's so tough because I'm very biased to a few things. I worked at Matitacock for 3 years, and they have a Corn Ferry event this year, which I'm hoping to play in or get an exemption or whatever. So I'm going to speak that into existence now. But Matitacock is special, obviously, because it's just
pure.
Yeah. Have you been there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the range
you get lost.
Is the best range in the world.
If you legit want to practice, that is the spot.
Right. So, that is obviously near and dear to my heart. And hopefully I can, like I said, play in that Corn Ferry event, which I think I could definitely win if I get in. Right. I'm trying to think of any other privates that really stick out to me. I mean, Baltusrol is great. I guess I would have to go to with Matitacock. Yeah. Just because
tough to go wrong.
Got 27 great holes. And to me, I don't think there's a better hole than the 27th hole as it is. That par 4 dogleg right. Don't chunk that thing over the water, boy.
Is that the one with the water? Yep. Mm-hmm. When you win something, you're coming back on here and we're fast tracking that interview.
I do want to say this real quick. I've looked ahead to the NJSGA schedule. and I saw that one of the qualifiers is at Burlington Country Club. I can't lie. I'm thinking about having my revenge on that place.
You
I'm
should.
not shaking balls on the range.
And now you can get practice rounds.
Yeah, maybe I might know somebody over there.
Yeah.
He might. This way doesn't reveal any of my secrets.
Lewis, before we end here, I have two questions I want to ask you. Living in New Jersey, we have this big debate here: pork roll or Taylor ham. What you going with?
I kind of go with neither. I'm a sausage, egg, and cheese guy.
Okay.
But it's definitely pork roll for sure.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even. I mean, Taylor ham. What the heck is Taylor ham? I don't know.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Pork
Another box
roll,
check for Lewis Kelly.
pork roll. I have no idea what Taylor ham is. So
I agree with you. So, Lewis, the other question that we like to end with is golfers are kind of quirky or superstitious by nature. All of us have our own little things that we do, whether it's, we've talked to guys that have like the glove has to be in the back left pocket, put like tees and like having a certain number of tees, balls, this kind of stuff. What are some, when you're getting ready for a competition or when you're playing in a tournament, what are some of your superstitions, or even if it's just a routine, maybe it's less superstitious, but the routine, talk to us about some of those that might be kind of quirky or funny, or just like.
I mean, all my preparations the night before, so I kind of like always clean my clubs and my grips the night before. I'm not big on like tees in left pocket, even though I did have one member. He's like, you always have 5 tees in the left pocket. Like if you're on the 18 and you only have one, you got to put 5 back in, stuff like that. So I kind of try to do some of that stuff that guys who are either successful, business wise, if they do something. But on what I'm notorious of doing is never tying my shoes up until I get to the first tee.
You're the second person that said that.
That's
We've
hilarious.
heard that before.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's so funny.
So like to me that signifies like, all right, let's go. Right. Like, let's put the mouthpiece in before you get to the ring. Right. I mean, before the bell rings. So I've always done that. It kind of backfired. The last state open, which was Springbrook. I want to say it was at Springbrook. I did that, and my shoelace, like I pulled it too tight and it broke.
Oh
man.
So one of my members saw it, and he was like, "You idiot! You tie your shoes before you." So that was kind of, and it wasn't like a golf shoe; it was more like a minimalist shoe. But so that's the only time that it happened for me. But yeah, so all my stuff is like pre-round. Like I'll do my balls because I don't ever want to line my ball up during the rounds. Like I want to pull out a ball and it be fresh with all my stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So like I always do that type of stuff, and then yeah, but that's about it.
I think those are quirks too, like not having, or like exactly what I'm talking about. Like you don't want to do that stuff, so you're doing it, beforehand.
Yeah.
Mike's got the tip of you got to have 2 tees in your left pocket. So Mike put 2 tees in and shot 44, and then he's like, I'm never doing this again. Like
I've listened to all you guys say things.
He's listened to every superstition that we've got. Mike's like, I'm trying that. I'm trying this.
Yeah. And I give up. I shut him. I'm going 2 tees. This guy does it. Oh my God. Give me the handful of tees in my pocket. Give me my divot tool. Give me my ball marker.
But you can't have too much. You can't have this big ball and you're sticking the worst feeling in the world, and I've done this before, if you have a pencil in your pocket and you go in, or a tee and it sticks you, you're like, your day's done. Yeah. Your day is over.
So, but listen, I like I feel like Ryan and I have been saying to everybody that's come on here, I can't thank you guys enough, and you especially, to come on here. I mean, I'd love to do it again. I'd love to come out to your place and do something in person. But thank you for coming on here, and we really do appreciate it.
Yeah, Lewis, after your next win, we're definitely having you on again as well, and after every subsequent one thereafter.
Yeah, no, I think I think hopefully the next one is, obviously the next tournament, but the Matita Conch one would be great, right? And then a major will be great, green jacket, and then we'll do like in person. You guys will be big time then, blue checks and all that type of stuff. So I'd sit down, and then obviously the 9-hole, 3-hole thing we would definitely do. This is the first state open champion you guys have had, so I may have won by default. How you started, because if you started last year, then I'm not the first. So I feel I'm addicted to being the first. So
there you go.
Let's keep that trend going.
You're our pioneer too. Good stuff, Lewis. Well, thank you
Thanks,
again
Lewis,
so much.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Take
I'll
care.
talk soon.
Appreciate it.